Please rise if you wish for the invocation and the pledge. Dear God, we are entering hurricane season once again. This year, as last, we ask that you keep storms at bay. However, knowing we must be prepared, we ask for insight, efficiency, and resources to protect our city from storms and their aftermath. We are also thinking of our state legislators this evening as they continue working to finalize a budget and new laws. We ask for wisdom for their work, that they may protect and support our city and residents through funding and rulemaking decisions. As we consider the matters before us this evening, grant us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we may make the best decisions for those who have entrusted us to represent them. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is the regular City Council meeting for the month of June. City Clerk, would you do the roll call, please?
Councilmember Sell.
Here.
Councilmember Pappalardo.
Here.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Here.
Mayor Chazet.
Here.
Vice Mayor Butland.
Here. Do we have any public participation for items not on the agenda?
And no, ma'am, we do not.
Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, approval of minutes. We have the minutes for the special City Council meeting of April 16th, 2025, the City Council workshop of May 7th, 2025, the City Council meeting of May 7th, 2025, and the City Council workshop of May 21, 2025.
I'll make a motion. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as listed, items 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the agenda.
Second.
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
Councilmember Pappalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Are there any additions, deletions, or amendments to this agenda? Hearing none, we will move on to public hearings. Agenda item number 5. The staff is requesting the City Council approve the second reading of ordinance number 01-2025, amending the Land Development Code to add regulations and standards for vehicular stacking. City Attorney, would you read ordinance 01-2025?
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance number 01-2025, an ordinance of the City of DeBary, Florida, amending Chapter 7, Article Roman 3 of the City Code to add Section 7.12 to provide for vehicular stacking regulations and standards, providing for codification, severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen Bapp, Growth Management Director. I will give the presentation. This is for the vehicular stacking agent ordinance, the second reading. I'm going over our current situation. We have rewritten our land development code. We have a Chapter 7 and provided the city with standards for regulating parking and circulation within those parking areas. It also addresses things in that chapter such as parking and loading, but it does not directly address vehicular stacking. And what is stacking? Well, when you pull up to drive through a bank teller, there's car behind it, that's called stacking. Dropping off at a school, a daycare, cars along behind each other, and that's the stacking. And the intent is to control the stacking on the site and not to allow the stacking to use our city streets and rights of way to facilitate their activity. What this ordinance will do, it'll amend the LDC to add all the guidelines for vehicular stacking on site. It will be applicable for all land uses and site developments where vehicular stacking or queuing may occur as part of routine operations. As I stated, examples include drive-throughs such as restaurants or banks, pick-up and drop-off zones for things such as schools or daycares, and service areas, maybe for a drop-off, dry cleaner, etc., and also for things such as residential subdivisions. Proposed design standards include that the stacking lanes must be designed to accommodate the peak demand volume. It'll articulate the vehicle space dimensions, the lane lengths, the requirements for pass-through lanes, meaning if you're not in the stacking lane and need to exit it, you can go around that activity without being impeded. It'll prohibit stacking and then using the bypass lanes that obstruct fire lanes or other public facilities such as road rights-of-way. It'll have our standard things such as signage and striping for the stacking area. It'll prohibit using parking spaces. It has provisions for post-construction compliance, meaning if this becomes an issue, what we're going to do about it. It'll require a traffic stacking study to be conducted as part of the development review process. And it'll articulate any off-site improvements that may be required as part of the operation of that facility. Since the first reading 2 weeks ago, the following additions have been made. We've done clarification to make this stacking regulation apply to all the classifications shown, especially to residential and gated communities, which the council brought up as one of their concerns. It clarifies the types not listed in the proposed use, that staff can have the authority to come up with appropriate stacking requirements based on best practices in our industry. It'll have new language for personal vehicle parking areas where property owners and occupants have the right to park. In other words, if you're waiting at McDonald's, you can't park at the dry cleaners, etc. A new language accommodating truck traffic and other specialized vehicles. Some activities use larger vehicles than normal. It'll clarify Table 712 and add types of uses to Table 712. It'll have language prohibiting stacking lanes from blocking public streets. It'll have language requiring stacking lanes to be provided for each lane type based on specific criteria. More language that's added is requiring gates to operate efficiently, etc., shown on the clarification shown on the screen. It'll add new language adding excess hazards as a qualifier to necessitating modifications. There'll be new language clarifying that HOAs and property managers are responsible parties for the vehicular stacking at said establishments. It'll have new language addressing operational modifications. Lots of new language requiring that stacking-related infrastructure be kept in functioning condition, requiring timely repairs and upgrades, providing that the failure to comply with the proposed ordinance may result in enforcement actions. New language providing thresholds for noncompliance, and new language providing for enforcement operations, as well as new language that applies equally to these residential developments, and new language addressing industrial developments and their queuing areas. Here is the use chart, which will be in the ordinance. The use type is on the left, and the minimum lane length is on the right. These lane lengths are consistent with many cities similar to size to DeBary with our operational tempo. We've added, as you see, there are daycares, pre-K, 12th grade schools on there. Also the multifamily with gate access and residential subdivisions, all of which have been a concern of the City Council. We've included more of a scaled enforcement operations like we do to all enforcement. Start out with our first level of an informal notice, written notice to the property owners, the manager, or the HOA that we're dealing with a type of condition that exists, a timeline to correct, and what we feel with informal compliance notice that this will start a paper trail, which could be useful in any future violations. A second tier would be making corrective action required. A formal corrective action reviewed by the planning and zoning department or by the engineering department, giving them a timeline and a penalty for failure to comply. Increasing next level, if it still continues to be a problem, have civil citation or a municipal fine, such as coming before the magistrate as a code violation type thing would occur. And we tier up. We also have the ability, we've added language where we can revoke and withhold further approvals. This is especially going to be a good tool to be used against a multi-phase type operation. And also, we have, further enforcement action of closing the site down or making physical improvements to our city infrastructure as needed to correct their stacking problem. So a tiered approach, start with a minor warning, work our way up to very more stringent methods of enforcement. We've looked at our comprehensive plan. We've reviewed it against our future land use of the plan. There's specific objectives which this ordinance will comply with, specifically Objective 5.5, which requires the city to establish certain land development regulations, and 5.5.02, which says we should provide provisions addressing standards for parking and on-site traffic circulation. So we've addressed these critical policies in the comp plan and find this ordinance to be consistent with those policies and other policies of our comprehensive plan. As it has been approved at first reading, we continue again with our recommendation that the City Council approve the second reading of Ordinance 01-2025 to amend the LDC Chapter 7, Article 3 to add Section 7.12, establishing regulations and standards for vehicular stacking. And if so approved by the City Council tonight, we will implement the appropriate changes to our land development code and review all development orders submitted after the proposed ordinance has been adopted will be required to comply with the provisions created by this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
And no, ma'am, we do not.
Councilmember Sell?
Excellent job. No other question.
Councilmember Papalardo?
I wasn't able to be here for the first reading, but I have one small clarifying question. Could this pertain on Donnelly Smith, the left-hand turn lane stacking for the inbound lanes into DeBerry Elementary?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
I think
because
it's,
what we require by this is that stacking will occur on site.
right. I would love to see that
Right.
loop utilized.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stevenson?
I like the improvements that were made since the first reading.
Yes.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Butland?
I also agree that I'm enjoying the changes that we made.
Exactly.
And glad reading them. My only question is, going forward, especially I don't know how many more projects we have coming in that might be gated, but I know I live in Rivera Bella, and I know it's a problem there because they have to wait, and especially on a left turn, I have a pass to get in, and I can't even get past the gate to get into my gate. So going forward, do we have, I don't know, going forward, this is part of the land development code, so going forward, anything new, they will have to address this up front.
Right.
Okay, because I don't know how many more.
There are some operational things in here that if their gates are not functioning
They
properly,
have to leave them
then
open.
it's a code enforcement issue, and then we can
Right.
make them correct it and fix
You
it.
want to see the emails about our gates? I can certainly pass them along. That's it for me.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, I really like the additional text and approach that you've taken with some of the pinch points that we had identified at the first reading, and I'm very happy with the outcome, and so thank you for that work. If there's no additional discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 01-2025, the proposed amendment to the LDC to create section 7.12 to provide for regulations and standards for vehicular stacking.
Second?
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
And I am a yes. So we move on to item number 6. Staff is requesting City Council approve the first reading of ordinance number 03-2025, establishing a motorized vehicle exclusion zone in the St. Johns River adjacent to Alexander Island Park. City Attorney, would you read ordinance number 03-2025?
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance number 03-2025, an ordinance of the City of DeBerry, Florida, creating Chapter 54 governing boats and water safety, including designating a vessel exclusion zone in a portion of the St. Johns River near Alexander Island Park, providing for severability, conflicts, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you.
Good evening, Richard Villasenor, City Engineer. We'll be presenting this item. The purpose or the intent of this ordinance is to improve public safety, protect environmental resources, and enhance the recreational experience for park visitors engaging in non-motorized water activities such as kayak, launch, and the use of the fishing pier for our new Alexander Island Park soon. The considerations are that the city owns the Alexander Island property, which the city is currently developing as Alexander Island Park. Use of the space as a safe harbor for restricting area, favoring park users and use of non-motorized vessels. Permitting of the exclusion zone is currently ongoing through the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission. The total river coastline that this is proposed for is approximately 1,000 linear feet of the total 8,400 for the entire Alexander Island river frontage. So it's only that north uplands area. Openings, there will be openings in the barrier to allow for emergency use or for the kayak non-motorized vessels to go on both sides of the line. There are no associated costs with the adoption of this ordinance other than future costs for installation, maintenance, and compliance under the Parks and Recreation budget. Staff recommendation is for the approval of the first reading of Ordinance 03-2025 to establish the motorized vessel exclusion zone as described. Upon adoption, a copy of the ordinance will be provided to the Fish and Wildlife for formal approval and registration. Once permitted, the next steps are barrier identification, procurement, coordination with local law enforcement, and public awareness, all to be completed with Phase 1 of the park construction pending issue of the permit. And I will take any questions.
Thank you. City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Councilmember Sell.
Currently, we don't have a plan to have a lifeguard on duty down there, right?
Correct. This is not intended to be a formal swimming area, but it will be allowed.
Do we have a plan to have somebody on site while the park's open to enforce it?
I believe.
Yes, that we will have people there when the park is open, at least during daytime. Then obviously we'll have to, in this particular park, we may have to close it at nighttime simply because of the size of the park and also some of the dangers in this particular park.
Kind of like Gemini, sunrise, sunset.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We're definitely going to have people that are going to, that's my beach, my tax dollars, blah, 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 blah. And I just don't want to have anyone that's going there enjoying the beach to get in an argument with somebody in a boat. That's why I was worrying about some kind of person there that has the legal authority to say, move on.
So the intent of the buoys as well, we're saying buoys, but the exact system is still to be determined. There will be signage on those to designate those areas from both sides. But yes, so still to be, I guess, formalized
Yeah,
on enforcement.
and just to respond a little bit there, as I said, the intention of this particular park is to be a land lovers park to be able to enjoy the river. There are plenty areas along the river where boats can dock onto the land and enjoy the land. In this particular area, and again, he's talked about public safety, is that you have kayakers and canoers, people in the water, people sitting on the beach, and it's a public safety issues when all of those intermingle with motor vehicles. And so I could be sitting on the beach side there and a boat drive right straight up into me, trying to get to and dock on the land there. And so it's a public safety issue, but it's also so the motor vehicles do not interact with either kayakers, canoers, people that might be in the water, or people that might be on the beach there.
The park will have public restrooms.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll be something that most of the beaches on the river don't have. So it's going to be a popular area. Hopefully we design or come up with some way to make it really, 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 really hard and really obvious that we don't want boaters inside there.
Well, someday in the future, I mean, again, it's only 1,000 feet of 8,000. And so they could park out against the berm and then walk in. But it's those particular areas where you got the fishing piers and everything else that are high-risk areas that in this particular area, the boats go extremely fast, and we want to make sure that we provide that much of a protection there.
It may behoove us to make it more obvious where maybe they can dock their boat on the berm just to prevent from trying to get direct access onto the beach. So I just know from experience that it's going to be a little touch and go for a while. I just worry about that because that beachfront property, I've been on it just on our tours, and it's awesome. It really is. So,
But folks have to remember that one of the passions about this particular park is that there is nowhere a person who doesn't have a boat can enjoy the river and enjoy the nature of the river. And if boats are allowed to park there and occupy that in particular space, that objective for this particular park goes away.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just looking at worst case scenario.
Okay.
So that's all. Thanks.
Councilmember Papalardo.
Yeah, I'm very interested in seeing this move forward. I feel very strongly about this item. This is like a really nice, relatively shallow area. I expect stand-up paddleboarding, canoes, just splash around in the water, and you see a motorized vehicle go through, someone's going to get hurt. So I'm very, very excited to see this move forward. And yeah, there's a lot of other river frontage, so I don't feel that bad. And besides, there's evidence of some boat users with unsupervised access right now that leave a lot of pollution and littering behind. So I don't really feel bad about that.
Councilmember Stevenson?
I could echo everything Councilmember Papalardo just said. Very, very much looking forward to getting this done and making it a park that residents enjoy the river from the land in a safe way.
Vice Mayor Butlin?
A lot of the stuff that goes on is habit, and it takes a long time to break a habit. And I think if we have signs up that are far enough, the water level changes. So you may have a beach this week, and next week you may not have a beach.
Yep.
So I think if the boaters get used to seeing a sign that says no parking or no beach, whatever you call it, beach landing, it's just going to be habit, not going up there. I have seen them, the boats come up. We've been there several times when boats have actually been there reading a book or working, whatever they're doing. But I think if we put signs up early enough and get people used to that when we actually open the park, that it's something that people will recognize that it's not for the boaters. So I have no problem with this. I think it's great. But, like I say, it's something that's going to have to be habit changing. That's it.
I'm strongly in support of this as well for all the reasons that everybody has said. And yes, it will take us some retraining, but it is 1,000 feet. It's not the entire river. There are plenty of opportunities. And we do want this park to allow our residents to have access to the river from land who don't have boats, who aren't those privileged people. In addition, just one aside here, all of that area that's cross-hatched underneath on this proposed map, we own the land underneath it. That was part of the land that was dredged, and this property connected over to the piece of land in the middle of the water in the early 50s. And the land is actually legally ours underneath that water. Now, does that mean that since we own the river bottom, nobody can go over it in a boat? It's not that simple. But it does enhance our ability to say, this is what we see for this. It's a public health and safety issue. And this is water on our land. So it's not the driving factor. It's not the determining factor. But it is a helping factor that we own the land under that part of the river. And that goes back to historically what that parcel had and the Army Corps' straightening of the river back in the early 50s, I think it was.
Mayor, one more comment,
Yes.
if you don't mind. This exclusion zone has no effect whatsoever with the main channel of the river.
Correct. It's way out of the main channel.
And so I just want everybody to know that has no effect whatsoever with the main channel.
Right. Normal traffic would be in the middle, not on this shallow edge. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 03-2025, establishing a motorized vessel exclusion zone, MVEZ, in the St. Johns River adjacent to Alexander Island Park.
Second?
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
And I am a yes. The next item is under new business, agenda item number 7. The Parks and Recreation Department is requesting the City Council award RFP 03-2025 Town Hall Frontage Improvements Project to Southern Screen Repair LLC for the amount of $105,000 plus a 6% contingency in the amount of $6,300 for a total cost of $111,300.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jason Scheitz here, your Parks and Recreation Director. So as you said, Mayor, we're looking to get this project approved. I'm going to go over a little bit about the project just to kind of clarify the plans that we have for this. And this one just kind of fell in our lap this year. So I want to credit our Park Superintendent, Tom Vandehay, for getting our name in the hat to get this additional funding that CDBG had to expend this fiscal year. So they put out a call for projects. We put a few in the till, and then this is the one they chose. So when it comes to CDBG projects, as you know from our past projects, there's certain criteria you have to make in order to get this funding. And for us, we're able to do it with the ADA accessibility criteria to qualify some of these projects. So as far as Town Hall goes, as you're aware, over the past few years, we've been putting a little bit of money each year into the facility to get it updated. And we're almost there at this point. So the exterior of the building is a piece of that puzzle. So what you see on the screen here is what it looks like now. And we're going to focus on the front side of the building and then the side from where you see that purple parking spot down to Columba there. That's the area that we're going to be working in. So as you know, up front at that building, it's just a giant concrete slab. It's kind of pseudo parking, pseudo walkway, unsightly old building looking out there. And when you get a lot of cars packed up in there that do pull in, along with like the kids coming in and out of the building, so on and so forth, it's somewhat of a hazard up there. So for a while now, we've been trying to kind of figure out what to do in that area. And this is the opportunity we have here with this project. So I'm going to go to the next screen, and it's going to show basically we're turning it into just a giant slab of concrete into a designed and landscaped basically a pass-through lane to allow cars to just kind of drive through and drop off, and then get out of there, or unload for events, things of that nature. We're improving the sidewalks to make them more accessible and moving all the ADA parking on the side of the building connected with the sidewalks over there directly to the front door. The rest of the area around that pass-through lane will be grass, so there will no longer be parking right in front of the building there, and it'll be landscaped to improve the aesthetics. Another thing we're doing as part of the project is we're going to replace the front doors, and if you're familiar with how the front looks, we have those brick planters and some landscaping up there. All that's going to get removed and redone with new landscaping and some like stone type veneers on the front of the building to kind of cover up some of that stuff and make it look a lot nicer than it is now. So it'll be a nice improvement for the facility, and we've gone through the bid process. So I'm going to go through that here real quick, and then we can answer any questions you might have on the project itself before we give the approvals. So we started this process back in March when it was advertised. On the 27th, we had our pre-bid meeting. 6 contractors attended. Now, the results of that meeting had us go back to the drawing board and play around with this design and some of the things we were proposing. Some of the contractors had some concerns as far as our budget and the price that they can do this stuff in, specifically with the doors and some of the structural things that were involved in our original plans. So we scaled it back a little bit. We put it, we had 3 different addendums and then put it back out there to the contractors to then bid it. So we had 3 contractors bid the project. All 3 of them still came over budget. but not as bad as we originally anticipated with some of the concerns that came up from that pre-bid meeting. So Southern Screen was the lowest bidder. So we've been working with them since the bids were submitted May 7th to scale it back enough to get it within budget and still be able to do what we want to do. And most of that didn't have really anything to do with the site plan that you see here itself. But as part of these plans with the front entryway, our original thought was to remove the frame and everything and put a whole new storefront door set up on the front of that building. But as you're aware, probably with some of our previous projects, that anytime we get into the town hall building, because of its age and the way it was built and so on and so forth, it is very difficult to get it up to the current code and the current standards. So what we did to really scale that back is we got rid of all the structural stuff that had to go into basically replacing door frames, and we're just going to replace the door slabs themselves, put some decorative things out front to make it more aesthetically pleasing, and that was enough to get it within our budget. So we were awarded $110,000 from CDBG. We were about $5,000 into it with the plans and the surveys and things like that we had to do prior to this, and then the new bid came right in at 105. So that's our 110, and then any overages or contingencies we'll be able to absorb out of our maintenance budget. But we've gone through this pretty thoroughly with our building department, ourselves, our engineers, and the contractor. We feel like that we'll be right on target for the budget for this, and get away with the full funding coming from CDBG. So our window for this project is basically the month of August. We're going to start right away after the summer camp program, and try to get it done by Labor Day weekend or somewhere, in September. So there's not really much impact to the building as far as the schedules go when we get back into our normal operating procedures after summer camp. And with all that being said, I'll open it up to you guys for questions and your approvals to go ahead and get this done.
Thank you. City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Councilmember Selb.
I remember when you said you had gotten some money fall in your lap and you're going to redo the entrance out there, so it's nice to see it moving along. No questions.
Councilmember Papalardo.
Yeah, excellent work on the return on the small amount of city funds you need to use for that. And what a badly needed improvement. Very excited.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stevenson.
I am just reminded how glad I am that we went down this path years ago when somebody had talked, and there was talk about tearing that building down.
Yeah.
And all these little improvements, and again, kudos to the team for getting this grant money.
Vice Mayor Butlin.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm also very excited about it. I do use this building quite a bit with the different organizations that I'm a part of, and I was expecting the magnetic doors to just open when I pulled up and stuff like that, but I'll take
Yeah.
these. I'll take this, it's fine.
We tried.
Yeah, we've tried. I'm looking forward to it. My concern was coming in. So you're coming in from
The parking
the
lot.
parking lot and then going back out to Columba instead of coming in from Columba. Is that because the handicap access?
Yeah, that and it has to do a lot too with the double yellow lines on Columba making left-hand turns. We'd have to do some schematic changes on the road there. So getting with Richard and his team, we thought this was the best option to come in through the parking lot and then out to Columba.
Okay.
And to
I
1792.
just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. It's a good job.
I echo good job. I think this is a great project, and I'm glad that we were able to be fleet of feet and get a project in and claim some of the money. I'm trying to understand the surface of the drive lane, the curved drive lane one way, and also the surface of the, what I assume is the sidewalk.
Yeah, sidewalk is concrete and
Okay.
curbing's concrete, and the asphalt is the pass-through lane.
Okay.
So it'll all the
I was
pass-through
hoping
will
those were
blend right in with
pavers
the-
or something, you know?
No, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it looks very nice.
We need another
Just
grant for that
yeah,
one.
just another grant. If you can award that to us, we'll do that upgrade for you.
I got 1,000. If you can do it for 1,000, we're good.
Our contractor's here. You can ask him. He does pavers.
Not going to happen.
He's saying no. Okay. I like the lines, and there was some cross-hatching, and I thought, maybe that's really attractive. But durable pavement, I'll go with that as well. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve bid number 3-2025 to Southern Screen Repair LLC in the amount of $111,300.
Second.
That makes sense.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
And I am a yes. So our next item of business is the city manager is requesting the city council approve sidewalk repairs to DeBerry Reserve, West High Banks Road from the railroad tracks to Fort Florida Road, and Quail Down Drive by DDS Enterprises LLC.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm not Carmen, but
You don't look like the city manager. You look like the Director of Public Works.
I am. So Amy Long, Public Works Director for the City of DeBerry. Our team has been compiling a list of some issues that we've been seeing out within the city, and these are some areas that have been in some disrepair, and so we are looking at trying to get them taken care of. Our first area here is going to be over in DeBerry Reserve. There's quite a few areas that are damaged. These are just a few pictures. They do not do it justice, so if you have questions, let me know. We can get you better pictures, or feel free to drive through, because that area is pretty crazy. We have talked with Richard and so forth, and so when new development comes in, try to keep those trees away from the sidewalks. It makes our life easier. A lot of the areas we have ground down to bare minimum, so we can't even grind them down anymore. We're to the point that we have to pull them up. Again, these are all in DeBerry Reserve still. And this here is going to be our West High Banks area. We've gotten a lot of complaints, especially from some of our golf cart folks trying to drive down through there, and some people trying to walk back and forth down to the river. So we'll get that taken care of as well. And then our last area is going to be over, it's on Quail Hill Drive. It's actually the access point for Duke. To get over there to those power lines. I know the address says a little bit different, but when we do the timestamp, it picks up what's closest. So that is the other area. We are going to have them fix that to make like a driveway apron, so it'll be more sturdy, and do 6 inches and 3,000 PSIs with some fiber. So that way, hopefully, it'll keep it from doing this again. And that is another area of that same on Quail Down. And that is it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Councilmember Sell.
Nice job, because you took that question out of my mouth. I was going to ask about where they would drive over those, and is this going to do it all over again? And you guys came up with a plan, so excellent. Thank you.
Councilmember Papalardo.
I'm always surprised the cost of sidewalk projects, but I'm in the wrong business. No questions. It's safety we got to.
Councilmember Stevenson.
I'm glad that we have these projects on the list here tonight. One thing I didn't think about until just recently, wasn't there a request for the sidewalks on Plantation as well?
The HOA has made a request to us to repair the sidewalks in DeBerry Plantation. Unfortunately, we've been holding up simply because the stormwater systems underneath those sidewalks are causing the damage, and there's no sense throwing good taxpayer money after bad. It's that if we repair it in a month or two, they'll be completely destroyed again, because there's no subsurface to hold the sidewalks. And so we've actually made a written response to the HOA, who wanted demanded these areas to be repaired. But unfortunately, those areas, other than what you see here on Quail Down, are all stormwater related, and until they fix the stormwater, we will fix those. So we have roped off all those particular areas for public safety to make sure that the residents don't go into those particular areas until the stormwater system is repaired.
Thank you for clarifying. I have no other questions.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Butland.
Thank you, Mayor. God, we haven't done repairs in a long time for sidewalks. So I'm glad to see this. I'm glad we're starting somewhere. And I understand, I drove by all of them, and you're right, some of them are pretty bad, and I could see where you've sanded them and ground them down, but, yeah, we have to make sure we don't put these trees in places that they don't belong. Joey? Okay. It's all your fault. But, no, I agree, this is great to have the list started and get them done. Thank you.
And I also appreciate the projects and the identification. I have nothing further to add. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I can make a motion to approve the sidewalk repairs to DeBarry Reserve, West High Banks Road, from the railroad tracks to Fort Florida Road, and Quail Down Drive by DDS Enterprises LLC.
Second.
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
And I am a yes. So we move on to number 9 under new business. The staff is requesting the City Council approve Resolution number 2025-06, adopting the updated purchasing policy and procedures manual. City Attorney, would you read Resolution number 2025-06?
Yes, Mayor. Resolution number 2025-06, a resolution of the City of DeBary, Florida, adopting an updated purchasing policy and procedures manual for the procurement of goods and services and management thereof, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you.
Good evening, Liz Bauer, Finance Director for the City of DeBary. And tonight, we're just going to go over a few updates to the policy that was adopted on October 21, 2020. The city attorney has reviewed the policy to make sure it conforms with Florida statutes, and the resolution was prepared. So this will change the city manager signing off on purchases. Right now, he signs of $500 and more. With the change, it will be increased to $1,000 and more. This will eliminate some administrative burden on staff. Also, purchases over $1,000 up to $5,000 will require one quote. That's very similar to what we do now. And the other change is 3 quotes will be required up to $35,000. Right now, our limit is $25,000. And by switching to the $35,000 top end limit, that will increase the city manager's spending authority to $35,000. And then formal bid process will be held for all purchases over $35,000. These changes are comparable to other municipalities our size. The policy also just updates some staff titles. We got rid of our budget purchasing manager title, and we changed it to a purchasing coordinator, which is a new position we have. And our accounts payable clerk is accountant now. And with these changes, we would recommend that City Council approve Resolution 2025-06 to adopt updated purchasing policy and procedures manual.
Thank you. City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Councilmember Sell.
No questions.
Councilmember Papalardo.
Yeah, I had been thinking about something like this. I think I saw on social media some residents of another city were bickering about changing their city manager's purchasing allowance. And I recall our city manager running into some hurdles for reasonably no good reason because of the nature that we've experienced since 2020 between inflation and especially labor and repair type inflation has been significantly greater than anything else. There are very few projects that need to happen on short-term notice that are less than $25,000 nowadays, and sometimes that $10,000 difference could actually get something done. And then we're not operating at the speed of government, we're operating at the speed of a business like we try to be. So really appreciate the update to this. I'm glad it all conforms with state statutes. That's the only other thing I had to consider, so thank you.
Councilmember Stevenson.
No real questions. I had talked to Carmen about this earlier, and I understand the speed of government versus the speed of business. I was a little hesitant with raising these numbers, but it does give me comfort that it meets the state statutes and that it's comparable to our neighbor cities. So thank you.
Vice Mayor Butland.
I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Okay. I would agree with the comments prior. I also want one clarifying question. I remember when we approved this in 2020, my only heartburn with the city manager's authority at that time to 25,000, which was quite an increase from his previous authority, was sole source. And there is no change in the sole source caveat for his authority, is there, in this amendment?
No, there's no changes to that.
Okay, my concern at that time was the sole source had to have some greater limitations on it, because you could get a manager that isn't Carmen that could have a favorite bud that got things up to a fairly high dollar amount, and just by him determining that that's the sole source that the city could deal with. And so those, I was happy with the language at that time, and I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any modification of the sole source language. But the increase in the dollar amounts, costs have gone up that much. To me, it's not expanded authority. If there's no further comment, I would entertain a motion.
I can make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-06, adopting the updated purchasing policy and procedures manual.
Second.
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Agenda item number 10, the staff requests City Council discuss and select a street banner design for 1792. Boy, I hate these really boring things.
Hopefully it'll be a little fun. Council Mayor, my name is Casey Hewitt, and I am your communications manager. I am pleased to share the proposed banner designs for Highway 1792. These will replace the current 30th anniversary banners that we have out there temporarily. Our team designed these in April, and we surveyed staff in May, and we worked to capture the spirit, character, and natural beauty of our city. Some concepts are a part of a coordinated series, while others will alternate along the roadway. Those will alternate along the roadway. Others are standalone designs. I'll get into that some more. And I look forward to hearing your input and direction as we move forward. So the original plan was for me to design 2 to 3 banners, but DeBerry has so many amazing assets that I ended up with 7 options. To help narrow it down, though, we did survey City Hall staff and asked them to rank their favorites, so here are their recommendations. The favorite of City Hall staff was this blue silhouette one. It shows different recreation activities such as golfing, biking, hiking, and fishing. Next are these teal banners. This is a set of 3 banners highlighting our city's natural beauty. And if you're looking at the printout and you're worried about the visibility of these banners, I will increase the color contrast if this one is chosen, and I'll work with the professional printer to make sure it is visible for everybody. And the third favorite was pretty much the same as the first one I showed you, but instead it has an off-white background. We also have these additional designs which are up for consideration as well. And I would like to say that every single one received a vote, so every banner is somebody's favorite at City Hall, so you really can't go wrong with any of them. And before I conclude my presentation, I'd also like to share a sneak peek of a banner design for America's 250th birthday that will be temporarily displayed on 1792 next year. So once a design is selected, our team will move forward and seek proposals for printing, and your feedback and direction are very important to us. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Councilmember Sell.
Well, I talked to Sherry Simmons about this, and then she ran around and told everybody. I would love to see 5 or 4 design, but my only recommendation is we absolutely have to sneak Clayton in there somewhere, not so prominent, but where the 45 people that are probably watching this meeting tonight are the only ones that know that he's there, and make it more of like a, something kind of sneaky where somebody will actually realize that Clayton's in the background behind a tree or something. I'm good on 5 or 4, definitely open to either one of those designs, but I'd really like to see Clayton snuck in there only because he's ours. I think he's the only thing that the entire city agrees on is Clayton. He seems to be our mascot, so I would like to see him involved. That's all I got to say.
Councilmember Papalardo.
I'm colorblind. This is hard for me.
I'm sorry.
So number one is super cool. I think that looked great on like the lecterns or in professional uses for presentations that I don't know about banners. Actually, 1 through 4 are great for like trade show kind of type thinking things. I love 6. I'm afraid it would get washed out, but it'd be really cool in the parks because it's a little more muted, a little more natural looking, versus 5, which would look great along 1792 in my opinion.
And we're picking for 1792.
For 1792 5. So I personally I like 5. Don't take my advice because I'm colorblind.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Well, I also liked 5, which was the staff favorite as well. My only recommendation or suggestion would be for it to include the words "welcome to," and just pull the text down closer to the picture possibly, and that way it's welcoming people to DeBary. I also like the 250-year anniversary with the red, white, and blue, because I know that on social media, people have been asking for more flags, and they've been asking about our banners as well. So I would like to have those special ones.
Vice Mayor Butland.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm concerned with the darker colors. Looking at the 30th anniversary, how have those maintained as far as fading in the city? Have they still maintained? I mean, I see them, but I don't really pay attention to them.
Someone actually brought in one recently to the front desk because it fell down, and it looks brand new.
Okay,
It's been
so
out
the
there
colors
for
have been
years.
holding
Yeah.
up.
And
It's Tyvek, so it's
Yeah.
not like a fabric that
Yeah,
fades.
we bought some specific that would be against color fading, and I think that it's worked really well. So I'll definitely look into that
Yeah.
one again.
I like them all, but I really don't like the first one. So number 1 is, I don't think it shows enough of what DeBary's all about. It's just our logo. But going to number 4 and 5, they're just opposite colors. I mean, I'm liking that. I even like just number 3, just very basic. So I like them all, but except number 1. I don't think that color scheme is really what we're proposed. This is all the way from the bridge to Gateway, correct, to Saxon?
I believe it's going to start at Dirksen to Saxon.
Oh, it's just Dirksen to the bridge. I got you, so it's not all of 1792.
Not Dirksen to the
Dirksen
bridge,
to
Dirksen to Saxon.
Oh, Dirksen to Saxon?
Yeah. We don't have any light poles.
Oh, that's true, there are none.
Dirksen South yet.
Okay, so it's really half the city. Yeah, I'm okay with any of them, really, except the first one. Did I say that already?
You
I
did.
don't like the first one. That's it for me.
I like number 5 as well. I sort of feel after the comments that may be the consensus one. My only concern about welcome to is then you're getting a lot of words with a lot of graphics. I sort of like it simple like that. Something like number 3 could absorb a welcome to, but I sort of like it as it is. I don't know, where that leaves us. I like the dark background. I think often white against the sky, which can be blue or cloudy or whatever, may not be as visually grabbing as the dark blue. So I do like that set there. And that's just my preference. I would agree with Councilmember Papalardo, though. I wouldn't pitch the graphics on this. There are some graphics in this package that could be used in other settings very successfully. And even number 1 that you don't like particularly, I would agree that in a professional document or something, that could be acceptable because you're not really talking about recreation and whatnot, you're talking about
Yeah,
business.
not as a banner on the street.
But not as a banner on the street. So that's my concern with pulling that down and putting welcome to. I think it gets too busy, but it's not that I don't want to welcome people. I want to welcome them.
Well, going back to welcoming, are we still getting a thing across the bridge? What's the status of that?
Another discussion because
Okay.
obviously the engineering cost to do the welcome sign and is more expensive than I anticipated. It's $199,000 to do the engineering
Yikes.
alone for that sign down there.
Okay.
Even though that we did get $135,000 from that particular vendor, we spent $45,000. We still got about $90 some odd $1,000 left of that agreement to spend. So that's something that we're going to need to talk about, and whether we wanted to go ahead and pursue that welcome sign coming into DeBerry there.
At some point, though, we're going to change the welcome to DeBerry signage
Yes.
from the posts and the rope and the,
I'm getting a lot of input of, let's get those things out of there. They're 30 years old, and
yeah,
they need to be removed.
yeah. Okay, so the item in front of us is to select a street banner design. So is this a vote that you see it, or is the feedback enough, or what?
I think a consensus is good. It seems like everybody likes, majority likes the 5. And I don't know, y'all didn't seem to like the welcome, on anybody else?
Well, she
Welcome.
likes the welcome, and I'm worried about busy, but,
Okay, but I think I see
know.
the head shake that maybe we can do welcome in some other signs as well.
my life will go on if it gets what I think is looking busy, and probably Councilmember Stevens's life will go on if it doesn't have.
Absolutely. Either way, if you guys had
Yeah.
comments, if it's too busy,
Yeah,
then we'll just leave it like this.
okay.
Well, then, I guess our plan is to bring back a proposal. We'll figure
Okay.
on how many we need, we'll,
How much
what
money?
pattern they would be.
And how much money?
And how much money it would
Oh,
take, yeah.
okay. So we'll get another pass at this with the money. Councilmember Sell.
Just, I'm sure everybody knows it's Casey's birthday, so I thank her for coming here tonight on her birthday. 2, she hardly ever asks us for anything, unlike Jason and Joey and them. I appreciate that as well. 3, you've done a wonderful job with your presentation. Just going to
Yes.
give you feedback.
Yep.
Phenomenal, honestly. And 4, don't forget Clayton.
Yeah,
I definitely can add Clayton in one or all of these banners if you guys want me to.
Or maybe a 5th one with just Clayton.
We could do that too.
Yeah, so we'll play with this more.
play with it and bring it back to us before you
I
finalize.
think Clayton in 1 would be good.
Put Clayton in the
As a
golf
little
cart.
hidden cookie, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is the city manager's request that the city council approve the Florida Department of Law Enforcement's FY 2024 to 2025 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, countywide distribution of funds as recommended by Volusia County. This is the item that I got mailed to me and need to sign a letter one way or the other, and I said I'd like your vote on it before I sign the letter. So city manager, you're saying sign it, right?
Yes, Mayor, this grant is just it happens every year. It is issued by the United States Department of Justice to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and they provide, and this money is used for to improve the criminal justice system. And so every county gets a specific allocation. They are required to designate specific entities to donate these funds, to provide these grants to. And one of the requirements is that when the county selects it, they need 51% of the cities to approve it. And the four organizations is the Daytona Beach Shores Department of Public Safety for the drug detection K-9, which is $24,500. City of Holly Hill improving traffic homicide investigations, $7,855. Next is the House Next Door Success by Design Program, $27,538. And the SMA Healthcare Incorporated Adult Drug Court Peer Recovery Specialist, $78,682. As you know, in DeBerry, we do have SMA Healthcare and the Adult Drug Court Rehabilitation Center here in DeBerry. And so the total of that is $138,575. And I believe this is a good allocation of the grant, and recommend approval for the county's plan to distribute these grants to these organizations.
Thank you. City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Councilmember Sell, questions, comments?
No questions.
Councilmember Papalardo?
No comments.
Councilmember Stevenson?
No questions, I'm fine with this.
Vice Mayor Butland?
I'm okay with it, thank you.
I'm fine with it as well, so I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the Florida Department of Law Enforcement FY 2024-25 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, JAC countywide distribution of funds?
Funds as recommended.
Funds as recommended by Volusia County.
Second.
Ayes or no?
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
And I am a yes. So we're moving on to member reports and communications. Councilmember Sell?
I have nothing at this time.
Councilmember Papalardo?
2 weeks ago, I attended the League of Cities Awards. Congratulations to the mayor, vice mayor, director Sherry Simmons, and the city manager for Home Rule Hero Awards. And again, to the mayor for her individual Mary Swiderski Award. It was a very nice event. Congratulations.
Thank you. Councilmember Stevenson?
That was a very nice event, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
I had the
I thought that our city presented well that night.
We did.
We were well represented, and the awards were just the icing on the cake.
beautiful venue as well. I also had the pleasure of attending the Proclamation of Love in our nearby city of Deltona yesterday. They had their newly formed Deltona Pride group there as under the umbrella of Volusia Pride. So I wanted to congratulate them on getting that proclamation, and maybe if there were citizens in our area that were interested in starting a club here, they would come to us, and maybe we would have a proclamation sometime in the future here as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes, the dinner was wonderful. Thank you all for attending, being on that board. We always try to push attendance. The city of DeBary is very well recognized in the county from all cities around us. So I'm proud of us, and I'm proud of everything that we're accomplishing and getting out there and, being visible, because everyone is noticing DeBary, including the county council. So we're out there. So good job for everyone. Thanks for showing up.
Yes. And I have done a series of things in the last 2 weeks, including going to the banquet, but some other things, meetings with residents with issues and that kind of thing, as well as some other meetings. And I think I will pass it over to the city manager. Anything to report?
Well, just a couple things, Mayor. The West Volusia Realtors are holding Meet the Manager, an event on June 18th at 11:30. It's a lunch event. I'll get more details as far as invitations and everything else, but I think all the managers in West Volusia are participating. Also, as an honor, FDOT has asked the City of DeBary and City of DeBary only. I will be presenting in Haines City on June the 20th. FDOT is working on possibly expanding the Sunrail station from Point Siena all the way down to Haines City using the CXX lines. And they've asked DeBary to present their success story to Haines City and all the surrounding communities there to promote and possibly get the approval to expand the Sunrail station to Haines City. So we're very honored in that they asked DeBary, not Maitland, not Longwood, not Altamont, but they asked DeBary to provide that success. So that's all I got, Mayor.
All right. City Attorney, anything to report?
No, Mayor, Council. Open for questions, though, or a long dissertation.
Okay. Oh, they pass on that long dissertation. Hearing nothing further, we stand adjourned.